You are now listening to Green Room Gossip. Welcome to another episode of Green Room Gossip. I am Stephanie, coming to you from the Appel Center for the Performing Arts in historically edgy downtown York, Pennsylvania. This episode, I got to sit down with the Seldom Scene after our limited seating event on Saturday, November 14th in the Strand Theatre. The Seldom Scene is an American bluegrass band formed in 1971 in Bethesda, Maryland. The Scene has been instrumental in starting the progressive bluegrass movement, and their shows include bluegrass versions of country, rock, and pop. In this interview, you're going to hear from Dudley Connell, who plays the guitar, Lou Reed on the mandolin and guitar, and Fred Travers, who plays the dobro. These gentlemen also all sing and play various roles in the band. We chatted about a variety of topics during our post-show live stream event, from how they've been handling the past 8 months off the road, their dream collaborations, to how the band got its name, 9 to 5s, and much more. I also want to take a moment to thank the team at Mandolin for helping out with the live stream that we did at the Appel Center for this show. The audio quality from this is just from a Zoom interview, so it's not the best. It is just Zoom after all, but this was not recorded on the Mandolin platform. Their AV quality is amazing, as is their team that worked with us on this event. I highly recommend them for anyone looking to get into live streaming events. We want to thank our guests who attended the Seldom Scene show this weekend. This was our first live show and live stream event in over 8 months. We appreciate our patrons for maintaining social distance and taking part in our limited seating event. Your health and safety is our top priority here at the Appel Center. So without further ado, enjoy the episode. I want to say welcome to members of the Seldom Scene here. This is our live stream. This is the post-show live stream experience. And I want to start off by saying I could hear the music. It sounded amazing. I started working here, and you guys were the first show that I ever worked, was the Seldom Scene. So that was the last time you heard, which was about 2.5 years ago. And that's the first show that I worked as an employee of the Appel Center. So that's really cool for me to talk to you now, because it's been a long time. So if you could just introduce yourselves to start off, that'd be great.
My name is Lou Reed, and I play mandolin and guitar, and I sing baritone, lead, and tenor.
Can you do a really good Lou Reed impression also?
I walk on the wild side?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Tell you what, I've known this guy for a long time. I've seen him on the wild side.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, you got to edit that.
Okay, Dudley, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Dudley Connell. I play guitar and basically sing parts, whatever's needed. That's what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And last but not least.
Hi, I'm Fred Travers, and I play the resonator guitar with the band, and also sing lead in different harmony parts depending on the song.
That's awesome. Very cool. What have you guys been doing the past 8 months?
The last time we played as part of our regular schedule, and you guys straighten me out if I'm wrong, we played a date in Winchester, Virginia, and I think it was the first week of March.
March 8th.
March 8th.
I pretty much stayed at home, except I went to see my son and my grandchildren in Colorado. He lives in Colorado Springs. I have 3 grandchildren. So I went to spend about 6 or 8 weeks with him, and then came back. And so Labor Day, we went from March 8th to doing 3 dates in a row. It just about killed us. It was really hard on us. 3 days in a row, we haven't worked forever.
You know, we have played together now, this group, for about 25 years.
Yeah.
And it must be something about some muscle memory or something, but it feels just normal, like we just played yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We make mistakes every night, so we haven't changed a bit. You
know? No one will know if you don't tell them. That actually brings me to my next question. So I know that the band was initially formed in 1971. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. November.
Okay, and in Bethesda, who was the most instrumental, and no pun intended, I apologize, in starting the band?
Geez, I'm not actually sure.
Well, you know what? It's been talked over quite a bit.
Yeah.
And supposedly
Ben Eldridge,
the original banjo player, which is retired, of course. And he's still alive. and John Duffy and a doctor named John Starling. He was at Walter Reed, I think. He works somewhere, did it or something. Yeah. And so anyway, they found each other somehow. They went somewhere to just rehearse, didn't they?
Well, actually, what it was they at least from the story that I've heard and read and talked to all the guys for the years, is it really was just their basement band. They were just guys who had jobs doing other things. Ben was a mathematician, Ben Eldridge, John Starling, as Lou said, was a doctor. Mike Aldridge, who was the original dobro player, was a graphic artist for the Washington Star. That basically it was just they loved the music and they loved to play, and so they basically got together in Ben's basement in Bethesda and just played.
I'd heard it said one time, and I think this was Ben that said it, they'd get together and plan music once a week was kind of like their weekly card game.
Exactly.
Get together and share music just because they enjoyed it.
And they were ingenious. They really great.
And that's actually, even when they got started playing bluegrass out and about and recording and everything, that was still the approach. It was just their weekly card game. So they went into to do for a living or anything like that, like a lot of people do.
No, they went about it.
They already had jobs that they did. They just played on the weekend. They were weekend warriors.
I need to step up my card game because I mean I'm literally playing cards. Like these people are just like starting an actual band.
I'm too. Cards and puzzles. Yeah. You know, another thing I heard John Duffy say one time in an interview, that he said, I don't know how we got here. He said, we were just standing around minding our own business.
But actually, John Duffy was really probably, of all of them, at the time, he was the most well recognized and most famous, because he actually played on the circuit with the Country Gentlemen, and they became very famous. And
Ben was a little bit there too. Ben and Mike played with Cliff, but
Duffy was the guy who they knew more than anybody, and as far as the bluegrass world knew. And once they got him, sort of by chance, just involved, and it was just it was by chance, and you know, his name was kind of the big name at first that kind of drew people in. He actually working with the Gentlemen because he really was. They were having a tough time, kind of trying to make ends meet. You know, they were traveling all over the place, and it was hard for them to. John used to say, you know, he got tired of saving up to go on tour. So he put it aside, and he was actually an instrument repair person.
Oh wow!
Alexandria,
Arlington, Virginia, and so that's what he went back to. But those guys just happened to be at the right place at the right time. They were all kind of local.
I think they're all looking to do something.
They were kind of looking to it, but I don't ever think they ever thought to do anything.
No. They practice like a card game.
It was just like a jam. They were just like friends getting together on a weekly basis, just having
like a jazz basis. You know, and then Mike Aldridge was one of the smoothest dobro resophonic guitar players in the business. Even at that time, Ben Eldridge was just a mathematician with all these chromatic notes would come out of him on the banjo, you know, and John Duffy was just one tremendous high tenor singer, you know, and you put all that, and then John Starling, the doctor, he had this baritone quality country voice, and he put all that chemistry together, and that's what you got.
Yeah, it was just,
and it was incredible. It was a huge impact in the bluegrass market. It was on me. One of my favorite groups.
Wow. Well, and this question actually kind of plays into that. So I'm curious, and I kind of think I know the answer because I did a little bit of research, but where does the name The Seldom Scene come from?
All right, I'll tell you what my story is. Before anybody else says it, you tell yours. But I put the band before these guys. I'm not saying that for any reason, but I was there in 1986. And I was told that Charlie Waller, the lead singer for the Country Gentlemen, and they were saying, well, if we're going to do that, we need to have a band name. Charlie Waller spoke up and said, well, you ought to call yourself the Country Gentleman. I mean, the Seldom Scene. Call yourself the Seldom Scene. And they all said, okay. So they changed the scene.
Mainly because they weren't interested in traveling, playing music like a road band, touring band would do. Basement band to local clubs in D.C. and play. And in fact, when they first started, I think the place was called the Rabbit's Foot in Washington, D.C. And so whoever was playing, he wanted to go to this radio. He was the DJ on the side. And so he wanted to go to Nashville. So he called Ben Eldridge and he said, do you think you could get your basement band to fill in? Because we have this regular date at the Rabbit's Foot. And so that's when they started there. They didn't even have a name at that point. They played for like 2 or 3 weeks, didn't have a name. But Lou's right. Charlie Waller actually gave him the name.
That's what I was told.
He said, you guys aren't going to go out there and really travel around and all that. You ought to be called the Seldom Scene.
Another giant thing that happened with them, I think, that really catapulted them a little bit higher on the level on the next shelf up in bluegrass music was that John Starling was really good friends with Emmylou Harris, and then Linda Ronstadt became friends through all of them.
The stars lined up.
Well,
yeah.
Back in the day, if you were playing bluegrass and you had Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt on your record, that was really something.
But they actually knew those two, but when they weren't really popular.
Well, I said that, but I mean, as they got to playing together, then they become popular.
I mean, they were
on the earlier records.
When they left the Rabbit's Foot, they went to this other place in D.C. called the Red Fox.
And she was coming out and sing.
And Emmylou would come out and sing, and
wow.
At the time she was just starting out.
Well, and that actually takes me to my next question, which is for each of you, which is if you could have a collaboration with an artist, anybody you can imagine, who would it be for each of you?
Well, I think I've already had mine. Yeah. That was John Duffy. Yeah, seriously. I learned more. I learned a year with him than I had in 20 years of being I probably wasn't a professional musician for 20 years, but probably 15 years before I worked with Duffy. And he influenced me. I think I've achieved that lofty goal that you just asked me about. There's nobody I'd rather play with.
Wow.
Great.
What about you, Fred?
Oh, okay. Well, I would actually agree with Dudley. I mean, it was John Duffy. I mean, I fell in love with the song. I actually was kind of late coming in. They started in 71, and I didn't hear them until probably 1981.
Wow.
It was just like once I heard them for the first time, I knew there was something special. And so I just, kind of went back in time and got all their original first records and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would say John was really I would love to sing with him again. I mean, I got to do it for a year.
Wow.
But secondhand of guys in the Seldom Scene, I would say I would love to have made a record with Mike Aldridge because he was my hero on the dobro. And, I took lessons from him back in the day.
Wow.
And the fact that I actually when he decided to leave the scene, I came into it. I mean, that was really something I never in my lifetime. And I think doing a record with Mike, that'd been pretty cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. And Lou, what about you?
Well, I mean, I can have my tenure with Duffy, and I was with the band for 6 years to begin with. Mm-hmm. And I got to record quite a bit with John Duffy and get to know him, stayed at his house when we had early flights because he lived in the D.C. area. There's several people I'd love to collaborate with. Mm-hmm. I'd really like to get into Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Because I was a big Beatles fan. All of those guys were just incredible.
John Lennon too.
Yeah, John Lennon too, but I just really, Paul McCartney I loved his singing. He could sing high as a moon. Mm-hmm. And I love bass because I played bass for a long time.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense.
You would love to sing with Bob Dylan.
So, okay, I'm not going to ask you about what conspiracy theories you believe in because we already talked about that. But I wanted to ask you, if you had to have a 9-to-5 job, what would it be and why?
I like to study the Loch Ness Monster.
Great job.
Well, at least it'd be a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's great. Fred, what about you?
I'd have to say what I actually did before I actually played music full time. Uh-huh. I retired from this. I was a firefighter, so I'd do that again.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's awesome. How long were you a firefighter?
30 years. Yeah.
That's a very interesting transition, firefighter to bluegrass music.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I kind of got into the music when I was still working for the fire department, but luckily all fire departments, sometimes a lot of downtime, in between and stuff. So I basically learned how to play dobro when I was at the firehouse. So.
Wow. Well, and this is my last question, please don't feel forced to say York, Pennsylvania, but I was going to ask you, of the many towns you've played shows at, which town is your favorite and why?
Oh my.
Which town?
Which town?
Yeah.
You know, we have traveled so extensively, and I'm not saying that like I'm bragging about the places we've been, but I couldn't pick a favorite. I mean, I like a lot of them for different reasons.
Yeah? Like, what's just one that comes to mind?
Well, San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
This thing called Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, which was right in this beautiful park.
I would actually probably say the Birchmere. And I'll say that because it's home of the Seldom Scene.
Yes.
And they always support us and they come out. We play there about 4 times a year, 3 or 4. And they love the Seldom Scene at the Birchmere. Now, like as Dudley just said, there's many other places that we received really well. We're lucky in that respect.
Yeah.
It's home. It really is.
I mean, we're received well here.
For the time that, we're in right now, to have the in-house crowd that we did and in a safe way was really amazing. It's just so neat to think about how that's going to get them through to the next time that they will be able to see live music. That's a really beautiful thing to think about, because it's been so long,
right?
For not only for you guys, but for the people that have come to see you here in York, year over year. Yeah. That's amazing.
Well, actually, really, what was really cool for me tonight, and Lou's played here a number of times. Like he said, he was with the band, prior 6 years before, and now returned in '97, I think. And then, but Dudley and myself, but the first out-of-town show that we played as members of the Seldom Scene was at this same theater.
Wow.
And we played the theater next door that's a little smaller, a number of
the Capitol.
But this was the first time. Well, not necessarily the first time. We played other shows here, but this particular theater, the first time we went on the road with the Scene.
Yes.
Wow, that's so cool.
Stories, but we probably shouldn't tell you.
Well, guys, that's all the questions I had, but it was really cool getting to talk to you. And
thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed that episode. I do want to end off with giving you a little bit of information about what's been going on lately with the National Independent Venue Association, of which we, the Appel Center, are a part of. You don't know what you've got till it's gone, and as a proud member of NIVA, we are asking Congress to pass the Save Our Stages Act. So even if you've done it before, we do encourage you to take meaningful action again, and contact your local legislators. It takes 30 seconds at saveourstages.com. The Appel Center and thousands of venues across the country thank you for making your voice heard. This legislation will help us to keep our doors open amid the COVID-19 pandemic and come back stronger than ever once it is safe to do so. Again, visit saveourstages.com to learn more about all the initiatives that NIVA is undertaking on behalf of tons of independent and regional theaters across the United States. If you want to keep up with us and get more behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram at Green Room Gossip Podcast and on Twitter at GRGPod. For more information about the Appel Center for the Performing Arts in York, Pennsylvania, visit appelcenter.org or call our box office at 717-846-1111. Thanks for listening.